episode of Debate Dat, where we discuss pop culture, social issues, relationships, and much, much more. My name is Jay.
And I'm May.
I'm Sean.
All right, Thomas, what we got for today?
Today's question is true or false? Spare the rod, spoil the child. What do y'all think about that?
Well,
Me spare no rods.
first off, all right. So in order for us to do this, we gotta kind of look at different areas of disciplining, and so we can tie it back into spare the child, spare the rod, spoil the child. So to start off, let's ask the question: should kids be able to make their own decisions within certain parameters, or should it be where I tell you what you need to do and you do that? That makes sense? Why you got that face, Nate?
Should a child be able to make their own decisions? Wait, okay, run that back.
Within certain parameters, should a child be able to make their own decisions?
Give me an example.
So, as a parent, you give a child, you have this line and you have this line. Anything inside of here, you can make your own decisions. For instance, you got to clean your room. On what day you clean your room, that's on you. But you need to keep your room clean. At what time you want to clean your room, that's on you. But you need to figure that out. Those type of decisions. Not, hey, I'm going to the club tonight. No, we ain't talk about that.
Okay.
What decisions within these parameters, you can make your decisions within that. Or should it be, this is what you need to do, and you go do it?
Well, like it depends. Like I can understand that. For me, I'll give direction, and those directions need to be followed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where my daughter will say, "Is it okay if I do A first and then do B because whatever?" And if it's reasonable, I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you could. Just make sure it gets done."
Yeah. Sean?
I went there on that one. I mean, as long as it gets done, that's the important part. But like I said, I spare no rods.
Correct.
I'm with. I give the directions for certain things, but I like them to make their own decisions because I ain't always gonna be around to be like, do this or do that. So within those parameters, I don't mind. Like, my thing is, I want your room clean. When you do it throughout the day, I don't mind unless it starts to get late and then it's like, now you need to do it. But if you want to clean it in the morning, go ahead. As long as you get to school on time or whatever, it doesn't matter to me as long as it gets done and the other things that you need to do gets done. Because for me, I kind of want them to be able to make their own decisions and not wait for me to tell them something.
True.
And
so I get that, right? But here's the thing. I feel like you still have to conduct and set boundaries because a child, although it gives them a little bit of space to make decision, a child still needs guidance. That's why they're a child. They were given to us for that reason. They were lent to us for that reason. So even with little things when it comes to like cleaning up a room, like Saturdays are cleaning days for me. Saturday mornings, early in the mornings, she on Roblox with her homegirls, right? Today is cleaning day. You got to clean this room, right? Like we got to wipe down furniture and all the works. All right, mommy. I know you playing Roblox right now, but remember that has to be done. When I see like, okay, like she ain't focused on getting this room clean, she just focused on Roblox, then I'm like, all right, yo, you got till 3:00 to get this done. It's 11 o'clock now. Anywhere between now and 3, it needs to be done. 3:00 is the cutoff.
I'm not disagreeing with that. You do have to give direction.
So choose how you gonna.
I want to give some space so you can make a decision.
Okay.
So,
That's
like you
fair.
said, 11 to 3, whether you do it at
Yeah.
11,
Mhm.
1 o'clock, but it needs to be done before this time.
Yep.
So I don't mind, like, it needs to be done before this time, but I don't care when you do it. It just needs to be done before this time.
Yeah, but I agree and I disagree because sometimes, like you said, Jay, kids need to have the autonomy to make decisions, right? But I think it depends on the consequence of what those decisions are going to be. Like, you would make sure that your kid isn't stealing anything from the store because they could get arrested and
Mhm.
that can hurt their future. So there's no wiggle room with that. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot steal when you're young or whatever the case is. But
Mhm.
in certain situations, when you have line A, you have line B, they need to you give them the autonomy because they need to learn how to fail. Because once they learn how to fail, most times people learn how to become successful through those
Mhm.
failures. So sometimes, to your point, Nate, to say, okay, well, we clean up on Saturdays. If you don't clean up, then she's just going to get reprimanded or whatever the case, and that's her failure, and she has to understand how to bounce back from that. I think it should be okay to just let her go that day and not clean up, and then she has to face the consequences of her decision.
I agree with you on that.
I see
Okay.
that. I see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then when you tie, like what you said, and you're tying it all together, when you're talking about the consequence, which is the rod of correction, when you really look at it, when it says spare the rod, spoil the child, the word is the rod of correction, and you come to them with the word to correct them. If you spare that, you spoil the child.
Mm-hmm.
But also the correction in these terms, when you're saying, okay, these are the consequences. Like to your point, certain things I let go, and then it's like exactly what you said. All right, well, you didn't do this, now this happens. I told you I needed you to take care of this. You didn't. Now this is going to happen.
Mhm.
And because I just don't want to shelter them where I'm telling them, okay, go do this. Okay, now go do this. And then like they just never made a decision. I don't want them to get to that point.
But I mean, they
I
can
just
still
want
make a
them to be able to make
decision. They can still make a decision if you're given clear, concise direction. If I say, "Oh, you need to get done by 3," and it ain't done by 3, there's a consequence after that because she made a decision not to get it done by 3.
Right. So those are the parameters that I'm talking about. You said from 11 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So anything in here, you're good. But you go
Right.
after this, now we got a deal.
So you don't even get perimeters though, Jay, because you just say you was like,
Yeah.
as long as they get it done before, even if it's before they go to school. So at that point, they kind of gotta balance it out.
I need you to do it.
Yeah, but
I need you to do it today. But when you do it today, is on you. But I need it done today. I didn't give an exact time. I gave a time period.
I guess as long as you have a balance with that, because you also don't want to get into a place where like again, children need direction, right? That comes with raising them. You don't want to get into a place where you are giving them so much space to make decisions that it just becomes like one whirlwind of really not understanding that having a schedule is important, planning is important. Like, oh man, okay, like now they're in a space where they're stressed because it has to be done before school, and I waited till the last minute, so now I gotta get it done before school. Now it becomes a habit that I waited till the last minute, that I gotta get it as long as it's done before school. And their bodies are stressed, their minds are stressed, they're not getting enough sleep. Like, it trickles down into so many other areas if you're not creating that preciseness.
So
That's just how I
get
feel.
what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I need them to make mistakes, so then you can learn from it. So when that happens, okay, what can you do better for next time? I don't want to get them to a place where they're afraid of failing. I want you to make a mistake, and then we can explore that, and then you can go back and change it. Then you're doing it on your own. You're thinking about it on your own. I need you to come up with that plan. I'm going to be there.
That we're talking about, like, is because like I get that, and it's not that I disagree, but is there like a certain age range that you have in your mind where you begin to catapult into like that learning style?
You're gonna have to wait for a certain age, because in the beginning, it's habits.
There has to be a certain level of maturity, because that's what I was saying, because there are habits that will be created. You
got to create habits in the beginning, but when you get to a certain point, then you can let them make decisions. Even with the babies, we try to get it to when they get home, take your shoes upstairs. Like, they get in the habit of taking their shoes upstairs, even though Jace may have one shoe in the room and one shoe in the loft. It's upstairs, but I guess that's his way of looking at it. But we try to get it to the room, and once they get used to putting that in the room, then we can move on to something else, and so forth and so on. And when they get of age, then we can do that. But okay.
Let's be real though, Nay. You said, kids need guidance. So, as parents, you're supposed to guide them and help them make those decisions. But at the same time, if they're not making those decisions and they're being stressed out, they should learn from that and understand, how to time manage themselves and say, okay, well, I shouldn't have waited till the last minute. And also, let's be honest.
Depends on the maturity.
Man, I was gonna say,
every kid is different.
You cannot allow. I don't think you should put adult things on children. That is putting an adult thing on a child.
What's an adult thing?
That
right there.
Because even with that, like, you got to think, all of this is correction. You're allowing them to do certain things so they can learn from it and move forward. If these kids can get an iPhone or whatever phone and sit here and text and figure out how to do this game and figure out how to do this in small doses, they can figure out how to do a little bit of time management.
Man, it's some adults that need guidance, man. It's a lot of these adults out here that don't have guidance.
I'm not negating the time management part, but your comment on, like, I guess, stress managing, and maybe I misunderstood, but I don't know. I just think that there's a certain age for that. If as parents we can alleviate the stress on our children, that's what we should do. I didn't hear you at all. What'd you say?
You ain't hear nothing.
He's talking about pure foolishness, ain't he?
It pretty much.
No, you just talking about Jay.
Talking about some, man, I got to manage my stress. So you got a point. You got a point there.
Right.
But to Namsadama's point, at some point it has to happen. I would rather a little bit earlier.
And it will.
Waiting till teenage years.
It will happen because of society, because of growing up, because of environment. Correct. But as a child, as parents, we're supposed to alleviate the stress. We're supposed to alleviate the stress factor as we're guiding them.
Yeah, I see certain stresses. Mm-hmm. But okay. We might have bounced off a little bit. Namshadamas.
Yeah, let's get into this other side. Let's say, so we talk about, parents setting parameters for your kids, right? Your kids making their own decisions. What if they make a decision outside of the parameters? Like, should the parents be held responsible, or should the parents be faulted? For example, let's say, you're raising your kids to be a Christian and everything like that, but they turn down the path where they're starting a life of crime by the time they get in high school. But you've been raising them and you set those parameters. They made their own decisions to go down that path. Should parents be held responsible, or should be looked at as being at fault for that?
I don't think so.
At that point, that child became a very aware.
Correct.
I don't even know. Like, I guess they can still be a child if they're underage legally. But what I'm trying to say is, like, at that point, that child became a very aware adult. And now you know right from wrong. And you are making the decision to choose wrong. That is on you.
Now, as a parent, I mean, I think the natural instinct is going to always be that what could I have done different or better? Because why are you straying down this path? I never taught you that. So what did I miss along this way?
Where did I
You know
miss?
what I mean?
What happened? And sometimes it's not always the parents. Sometimes it is.
Correct.
What about the parent might feel like how they perceive within the community, how other, I can tell you it depends on culture, because I know within the Asian culture, what a kid does reflects on the parent.
Well, for me, I don't care about them other folks.
That's in any community, though. I mean, because us too.
My child. So for me, it's about me and my child. So the things that we are dealing with, like even as a young child, kids know when they do something wrong. They'll get to a certain age where they know they do something, where they did something wrong. Like for instance, my baby boy, right? He was over my brother-in-law house. He had something in his hand, and he had his hand up like this. He was about to hit his sister over the head. Now, his aunt walks around the corner and calls out his name. He puts it behind his back. Did he know he was doing something wrong?
All day.
So if he knew he was doing something wrong, if he happens to come across his sister's head, I don't think that's a reflection on the parents. But he
done saw you go across my head over there.
I don't know. That's like, hey, I see you go across your mama head, but no. But to go out there and to see him do that, that's not a reflection of the parents that he's doing that. But if I don't correct him, then that's a reflection on me. So I have to correct him when he does something wrong, so he knows that that's wrong. Even though he put it behind his back, it's obvious he knows that it's wrong. But me letting him know that I don't approve of that, maybe that stops him from doing that again.
Yeah, but sometimes perception becomes reality, right? And I could tell you this. I know somebody, who had a baby before he got married, and his mom and other parents looked at it as, oh man, I failed as a parent. How are people going to perceive me in the community? Because, the parents were known, you know what I mean? And regardless of what the person said, like, oh, well, it's not about you. You didn't make the mistake, or you didn't do it, or whatever the case. But the parents still felt like, they were going to be judged within the community for not raising their children right. You know what I mean? And then again, that perception becomes reality.
Well, how is it? That to me, we comparing, like, or worried about somebody else's perception of what's going on in my home. And I get it, because that happened in cultures, different cultures, and certain things have to be a certain way because that's tradition. But for me, no, if you're not part of my family, then just some Joe Schmo from outside. I mean, I hear you, but it don't matter to me. Right? The people that are involved in these kids' lives, those people matter, right? And it doesn't always mean
your village.
Yeah, right, correct. It takes a village. So
I believe in that strongly.
I'm a listen, and it's gonna, what they say matters, but it doesn't always mean I'm gonna take that advice.
Correct.
So that's a good point that you bring up there about the village, right? So it takes a village, but how much, I guess, how much power isn't the correct word, but how much do you give somebody the ability to actually give consequences towards, your kids or anything like that, being a grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend, whatever the case? Like, how much freedom do they have, responsibility do they have to be able to spank your child, or reprimand your child?
Well, reprimanding is different than spanking to me. You know, if one of y'all see my kid doing something wrong, I would expect, being that you guys are my friends, my family, to reprimand her and correct her and tell her to do what's right. Do I expect y'all to be whooping her behind in the corner? I be like, I know. That's for me to do, you know? Like, you know, so I guess it just depends on the relationship, because also, like, if my mom or my dad spanks my child, which, God, I live to see that. Especially my dad lived to see that. Please. I know where their heart is when it comes to how they're disciplining her, because I know where their heart was when they disciplined me. Because I believe in spankings. I believe that I also believe that it is received a certain way depending on the child. I also believe that if you are angry, you should not be spanking a child.
True.
I also believe that you should spank with purpose, so that the child understands this is the reason why you're getting a spanking. You just ain't throwing belts around or whatever it is that you spank your child with, shoes, a box, whatever it is, a spoon. You're just grabbing up notebooks and slapping your child upside the head. Like, have purpose to it, so it means something, you know? Like, and then also, I also believe that if, like, spanking my child is the last resort for me. If we can handle this without me having to spank it, because trust me, look at it. My hand be hurting. I be wondering if I'm gonna break a nail. Like, it's just too much. It's just too much. It's too much.
I agree.
You know, like, if I can, that is the last resort. If we can resolve this issue without that,
we good.
So be it. We good.
So I got a question for Sean. Since you raised your hand, like, you be practicing swinging.
Nah, let me stop. I'm too big to be doing that. People would think I'm abusive out in these streets.
Right? You know, they go to take out that clip. No, but remember this as a child, this is gonna hurt you. This is gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you. Is that true?
That's true for my child. Listen, look.
I say yeah.
That's true for my child. She be like, look, that didn't hurt.
I think it's just more so, I mean, when you don't want your children to go through what you went through. You know what I mean? And so you try to your best to make sure they do better. So I would have to say yes.
Yes. Seriously,
is this going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you? For the most part, because I wish I didn't have to do this, but you pushed me to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Seriously speaking, yes, I understand that.
Man, that's some bullshit.
Well, no, on another level. Nah. Listen. All right, listen.
It depends on the timing.
Yo,
like I said, I'm gonna tell you this right here, real quick, right? This is a true story. So one day, I had picked my daughter up from school, and she was a little younger too. And I ended up, I didn't even forget what the heck she did, man. But I just popped her. I reached to the back seat while we was at like the light. And I'm like, I popped her, right? And I didn't do nothing crazy. It wasn't that hard. I just popped her leg. But bro, she just looked at me like, I'm talking about didn't flinch, not a tear, not a nothing. And you know, she was younger. So I'm like, damn. I didn't know how to react, to be honest with you. But then she would get, I'm talking about the whole ride. Not one tear, bro. Not one.
Not one word, right?
And I'm talking about stone cold face.
Bro, just look at the letter of the alphabet, for real.
Bruh, got to the house. She seen her mother. The waterworks fell. And I'm talking about, I'm like, what?
You got played.
So from that point, I just never did anything because I'm like, damn. I mean, this ain't even phasing. You gonna make me, and let me reach in the kitchen sink real quick because you act like this ain't phasing. But
Bruh, I got a whole story.
But you can't tell me it's gonna hurt me more than it hurt you when my ass over here throbbing because you didn't put wood to it.
Nah, bro. Listen, let me tell y'all. Let me tell y'all. You know, and I'm gonna say this on the podcast so that I have a record of this. So when she's my age, she'll remember. Okay? Because with my child, I think that other forms of discipline works better with her because she'd be like, your daughter. Listen, I've had to chase her around in circles. I have had to.
That's called exercise.
Listen, and I'm like,
she said, "You're gonna earn this whooping."
I have had to chase her, and then finally, when I got that behind, I was like, "Yo, why my hand hurt more than her behind do?" Or when she got the spanking, it was like 2.5 seconds of a cry, and then like, okay, what's that?
She's done.
Yeah, like, but when you take that iPad away, or when you say, because my daughter loves to be outside, she loves to play outside with her friends, or you can't go outside today, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. And she straightened up real quick.
So that's when it all depends on the relationship and what type of child you have.
So yeah, it be hurting me.
So you gotta hit them where it hurts.
Yeah, it be hurting me more.
So I got a story. I got this whooping and I never forgot it.
I got one and never forgot it too, bro.
I got a couple.
No, it took me one time.
This particular one, I ain't do this on purpose. So I decided that I was gonna wash the cats. We had some kittens. I had to be around 4 or 5. I was young. So I seen on TV how they wash the cats. So I took a pool, I put some water in it, and I threw the kittens in there. I had the soap. I washed them and everything. But when I brush my teeth, you gotta clean out your mouth. So I took the water hose and put it in their mouth. They drowned. Right?
You killed cats, bro?
You're a killer.
I wasn't trying to. I was trying to bathe the cats. Like I was trying to give the cats a bath. So
you're gonna blow up their stomach with a water hose.
I took the hose and I cleaned out their mouth. I drowned them, right? Whole time, my grandfather's looking out the window. He see me doing
like Riverdale. You have like the killer gene, bro.
Yo, yeah.
Hey, Karen's about to get you out there in these streets.
Man, look.
Peter, Karen.
I looked at the cats on the ground and they were just laying there, right? So they wasn't moving. I'm like, what happened to the cats? I threw all of them over the fence. And then I went in the house, right? Yo, my grandfather was in there waiting. With the bell. Yo, I got tore up that day.
Of course.
Man, I don't even like cats no more. That's why I got a dog. I don't even want cats.
Hey man, I done got
the body clean, boy.
For real. I got caught with the extension cord from the hair dryer. I got
Y'all ever catch your children or got caught in the shower off guard? That naked Ross?
Ooh, no. This one, my aunt promised me and my 3 cousins a whooping in the morning. Yo, we were terrified all day. All day. We was trying to avoid my aunt. No, we was quiet. You can hear a rat pee on cotton. It was so quiet. Like you ain't hear nothing. And so she never gave us a whooping, but we was scared all day, boy. That because she ain't playing.
Are you a fan of using that rod and extending that hand?
Yeah, the baby's gonna get popped. If they doing something, they're gonna get popped right then. And no, don't do that. Here's the thing: I would rather, like, when people be looking at spankings and stuff like that, I mean, as bad, but I'd rather pop my child and let them know that this is wrong, because as a black person, I ain't trying to have them get beat by the cops later on. Let me correct this now, so I don't have to worry about that later.
Thank you. That's why I believe in it. But that's what it means.
When my child goes out, when they get older, I want them to make it back. So to me,
that is what it means.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna let you know that it's not gonna happen out there. I'm gonna make sure it happens here. Make sure you straight. Make sure you understand. So when you go out there, you know how to conduct yourself. Because it's really not too much room for error.
No.
So for me, they're gonna get popped now.
Man, I'm still trying to get over the fact that y'all was talking about running. What household y'all grew up in? Because it wasn't no running in my household. My dad wasn't gonna chase you. My dad wasn't chasing nobody.
Listen, that's what I'm saying. The child she don't care. She don't care.
We done hid under mattresses, under beds and everything. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you can catch a jar of grease flying from my grandmother. You can catch the cane. You can catch some of anything, whatever's in reach.
Whatever's
you know
in
what
reach.
I mean?
Man, so one day I thought I was gonna outsmart my pops, and I was gonna wear multiple pants.
Oh, Cameron.
He told me, he said, put on your pants, lay down and put on your pants. I took some wood that day. Listen, it wasn't no running. That's why you talking about running here, running there, running. My dad wasn't chasing nobody.
Listen, that's what I'm telling you. It's just a different generation, boy. But you know, it does not excuse for the fact that I believe in that type of discipline.
But you get that whooping, you go to sleep and wake up and you feel like you got the best rest ever. After getting that whooping.
Hey, look, not when your booty hurt. Hey, what about this question?
Do y'all get the I'm sorry speech afterwards?
Oh, the parent?
Do y'all get the I'm sorry speech afterwards?
I didn't give the I'm sorry speech.
Yeah. I've received
it. Look, but what about this? As far as discipline goes, right? When you're talking about a step parent, like, how does a step parent navigate those waters when it comes to this isn't my biological child, but you know, I signed up for this, so this is my child. And how do you think a step parent should navigate those waters?
So first and foremost, if the parents, if the parents, because I've been here, I've been in this situation, this coming from experience. If the parents are not on one accord, and they don't, if they don't look at themselves as being here, like God, parent, children, it ain't gonna work. Keep your hands off the people that pick me. That's not your child. Keep your hands off of that person's child. Period.
No, it definitely has to do with that relationship. You gotta have that.
There has to be a really strong dynamic between the parents to understand, like, yo, you and me are in this. Them children, they not a part of this. They come underneath this. If y'all don't have that, it ain't gonna work.
So we ain't even talking about spanking. I'm talking about discipline. What about just the board? Don't like when you have to be stern.
Look here,
discipline across the board. It causes a lot of issues.
If you walk that line and say, you know what, this is the person I want to, marry or get with for the rest of my life. Y'all relationship solid. This person got kids. Or the other person got kids, whoever. Y'all both can have kids coming through the same situation. I think once you decide to make that commitment, you have to really throw the step out the window.
You do.
Because at that point, you need to treat them children
as just like own.
Exactly. So therefore, that same responsibility of discipline and correction and things like that you're going to give your own child, it has to be, especially if you're all under the same roof, it has to go equal, you know what I mean? And you have to treat that child not just when times are good, like they're your own, but also when
when
those bad times and you need to do those corrections, it needs to be okay. And I think a lot of steps don't know where to cross that line, you know what I mean? Or where the line is drawn before they feel like, am I doing too much? You know what I mean? And like I said, if you get in the mindset of throwing that step out the window and realize I'm just a parent, you know, I'm going to be just as responsible for you as I would if I birthed you. Then,
so go ahead, finish saying, and then I'm gonna jump in and piggyback.
Yeah, so then I think it should work out where everything should be just fine. Because I mean, I've witnessed it. My homeboy Derek and his family. You would have thought they were set up like the Cosbys, but granted, that mom and that dad, yes, Christ is first in that household. You know what I mean? But they didn't play that. He had two, and they both had a boy and a girl. Of course, Derek is my age, and then he had a sister who's right behind him. So, you know, his mom, I don't know if I want to confuse it all up, but anyways, they both had a boy and a girl, and they weren't too far from age, but it worked. And they called, and I mean, of course, the biological wasn't in the life of my homeboy Derek and them. His dad and them wasn't in the picture. So Uncle Bobby stepped in there, and he was the dad. And that's what they respected. That's what they looked up after. And it worked. Like I said, they wouldn't anything that he did as far as correction wise, it was done. It was no question. It was no say so. Mom gave the green light. Mom didn't play. Uncle Bobby didn't play. So at that point, you are my children. You are my responsibility. And I'm going to give you all the love unconditionally I can from every area. So at that point, like I said, when that step goes out the window, I think everything else falls into place the way it should, as long as it's the right people and that relationship is right.
See, the thing about it is the step parent can very easily feel within themselves that they have fully and wholeheartedly, completely accepted this child as their own, even if they didn't birth them. Step is out the door. This is my child. You are my child. Anything I'll do for my child, I'm going to do for you. I'm going to govern how I parent my child the same way I'm going to do for you, and so on and so forth. But if the biological parent of that child won't allow that space,
correct,
and won't let go because of whatever they have going on internally, it's not going to work. So that's why I said it starts with the parents. Those two parents have got to have like that really tight, like unbreakable bond between them. Like no matter what, it's me and you. Because at that point, we can have full understanding of how we want to govern our children. No matter who's what, our children.
I agree. And if y'all met them, like I said, you would think that they were born from the same parents, all four.
That's how it should be.
And it's like I would have never known if they didn't tell me. That's how solid it is. They would have had to tell me that hey, that's not my biological dad, but when you're in a house, hey, mom's, pops, and you raising these guys from, you know, and they teenagers and stuff like that, but of course they older now. But you talking about, you couldn't tell. There was no difference whatsoever. Like I said, somebody would have had to tell you that, look, that ain't their father, but that's their stepfather. Buying cars, taking care of them, schooling, the whole 9 yards. And same for the mom. The mom, vice versa, on his two kids. When you're in the house, hey, mom, I mean, like I said, you would never catch it unless somebody actually broke it down for you and was like, yeah, that's not how it is. And it was like the Cosbys. Who got dishes tonight? Who got this, that, whatever. And it just popped on me just now with us talking about this situation. But that was like the perfect example that I can come up with because I lived there. I stayed the night over there. I mean, those are my dudes. And like I said, you would never know. But the foundation of God first, I mean, we call him Deacon Bobby, and she's an evangelist and stuff like that as well. But it's so solid that you would never know.
That's how it should be. That's good.
I think when you involve, when you have the conversation and you break things down and you get involved with everything and have that understanding, to Nate's point and your point, whatever you want can be accomplished at that point. You can
Sure.
you can and as long as the kids feel as though nobody's being treated better or it's not different for anybody else, then it cuts down on the confusion and you won't have this constant tension in between them. And but you're right. It starts with that hierarchy and making sure you're having that in place. So I got one more question. Do as I say, not as I do. Do you think that leads kids lead them down the wrong path, give them the wrong idea when it comes to how you're trying to discipline the child and make sure that they fall in line?
Yep.
That makes sense?
It depends on what you're doing and what you're saying. So if you go and say, hey, do as I say, not as I do, and they see you rolling up, you know what I mean? Or you doing something, sideways or something, you know what I mean, out in these streets. You know what I mean? Hey, do as I tell you to do. Don't do what you see me doing. I want you to be better than me. This, that, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what they're saying, you know what I mean? And what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. There has to be some type of consistency there, because I definitely try to make sure I'm doing what I'm telling my kids to do.
Correct. You have to. You want to lead.
That's how I am. I believe in leading by example as a parent, especially. So I think it's so important to, like, if you're going to be preaching certain things to your kids, you got to practice it. And, just an example of that for me, like recently, my daughter, I'm always everything iPad. You're always on the iPad, right? Okay. So she was like, Mom, I have a question. How come, you always talk about I'm always on the iPad, but you're always on your phone? And I was like, wah, wah. And now I am so intentional now, because I didn't even recognize, like, business, everything is on the phone. Whatever it is, you're on the phone. You're like, now I'm so intentional about making sure that I put down my phone.
Yeah, my son good for that too.
It's two different reasons. It's two
It's
different reasons why you on screen time though. You on screen time conducting business. She's on screen time playing around. So she shouldn't be able to. She shouldn't be able to dictate that.
I explain that. Don't get me wrong, right? But I also am intentional about when I am with her. If we're having a movie night, if we're doing something together, and
that phone better be down.
I am intentional about putting aside that time, because you don't realize how much you be doing stuff and they watching you. So I gave her that. It's not about her dictating what I should be doing or not, because, like, look, I run stuff. Y'all should already know me. Okay. But I like real talk. It kind of put me in a position where I was like, damn, all right. That's fair.
You are fair to the point where when she does say something, you take the time to say,
you got to think about it.
You got to
and acknowledge it.
And so, that's great.
I'm fair.
You have to keep that communication open, and then you're able to talk to her about certain things. You're fair with it. Yeah. So I get it.
Hey, I got a story real quick, because it came down to the disciplining part. And Jay, this is pertaining to you. So I go to his house one day to cut hair. So I'm like, every time I pull up over there, something interesting. Either Chandra throwing shots at them boys or Jay throwing shots at the boys. So it's straight comic.
Yeah, I got a whole tribe over there. That's why.
So
15 billion kids.
So I pull up and I'm like, all right, who first? I see Jay like, hey, what y'all doing? Same situation. I told y'all to clean up. Told y'all to clean that room. Bring your laundry upstairs. Do this, that, whatever. So I'm sitting there and I'm cutting Cam's hair first. Actually, no. I think I was cutting yours first, Jay. I cut yours first. And this dude said, you know what? I ain't going to whoop y'all. It's too easy. He had... He had them boys running up them steps.
You told me this story.
Yo, I was like, damn. I mean, when you talking about, at that point, you rather take the belt because this cat was like, he was petty with it too. He was like, oh, okay. You don't want to run? Hey, go up them steps more times, faster. What you doing? You're too slow. Then had him come down the steps and do wall squats. And then as he did the wall squats, Jace running up to him and trying to, mess with him. Jace, leave him alone. And he's like, oh, I forgot to start the watch. Oh, start over. I'm like, I'm saying, yo, you going to do him like that? And straight up. And I'm talking about, when you talking about them tears was falling and they were mad, I'm like, they about to be brawling on you and throw you through the wall. Because when I talking about the workout they was doing, it was... I'd rather just give me the belt. Just give me the belt and let me get it over with. Because, boy, I'm ups and downs and wall squats and push-ups. It was straight punishment. But guess what? It was something good to see where you ain't even have to put your hands on them. At that point, hey, you just going to do what I tell you to do. And if you're not, this is the repercussion.
But that's a good form of discipline.
I thought that was dope.
That's a good form of discipline, and it's creative. You should probably throw in planks as well.
He got him dirty with that wall squat, and he just like, oh, I forgot to start the clock, and this cat already was sitting there for about 30 seconds. So I'm like, that's dirty.
Did you guys think society and kind of took away the whole discipline aspect? Because now, everything's considered child abuse now. You know what I mean? So do you think we as society has, probably took a step back in that regard and got softer?
I do. I think so. I think so because then you take away all the discipline, right? You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. And then because there's no discipline, they go out here in these streets and they do something. And the first thing they do for us is plaster on TV. They did this, they did that. They didn't have any discipline. But when I was trying to do that, you tried to stop me from doing that. Like it's me for the reason that I do the stairs and the squats and I take them down the street because there's a retention pond and I make them run up and down the hill on the retention pond. They freaking hate it. But mentally, right, I try to get them to understand that, hey, you have a choice. You can either do this. Are we about to go hit this retention pond down here? Or are you gonna hit these steps? It's your choice. It's and this is going back to those choices. It's 100% your choice. So go clean the room, go do what you got to do, or hit these steps, man. Because I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna have you run till I get tired, and I'm gonna sit on the couch. So I just need you to understand that you have a choice. Make the right decision. Because in life, you're going to have to make the right decision, and there's consequences. They may be swift or they may not come till later, but there's consequences nonetheless. You're going to have to make a decision, make the right decision.
Jaden was ready to body you that day, boy.
I'm sure, he gets so heated. You can have the conversation, I had you run up and down the stairs because I need you to do this. Your mother asked you to do this. I asked you to do this. You chose not to do it. Because you chose not to do it, this is what happens. That's your choice. You could be running up and down these stairs all day and have them calf muscles from that Liberty Mutual commercial. It don't matter to me. It's totally up to them.
Going upside their head is too easy.
Yeah, I'm going to spank you and it's going to be over and you're going to be doing something later. But I'm going to make you think about this. So that's why I look at it from that standpoint.
I like that.
So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Any last thoughts? What you got? Don't everybody go at once.
Nostradamus.
Oh yeah, you go first. You always got a lot to say.
Nostradamus, what you got?
Hey, I think spare the rod, spoil the child is true, but you should not spare the rod. I think each kid needs discipline. Whatever discipline that the parent thinks is best for each child, because every child is different. I think some kids you just got to talk to them. Some you got to put your paws on them, and some you got to take their electronics away. But for me, and what works in my household, and anybody who wants to bring their kids to my household, I'm gonna let you know first. If I can't spank your child, do not drop your kid off at my household.
There it is. There it
What
is.
he said.
So for me, spare the rod, spoil the child. Very true. And you just got to figure out what, just like Nostradamus said, you got to figure out what works. But when you find something that works, you stick to it. And for me, I allow them to make decisions, so then we can explore different ways to become better. If I don't allow you to make a mistake, then I'm not going to be able to make you better. So be okay with making the mistake, and we'll work through it and get better. For me, that's what I think.
I think, you just got to have a balance. Bottom line, you can't just do all the hitting, no talking. There's different ways now to handle it, and like I say, you got to know your child. You got to know what hurts them the most. You know what I mean? So at that point, it could be electronics, it could be outside, it could be, some of anything. You know what I mean? So you just got to know your child and do the best you can. Like I said, they're only loners. So our job is to make sure, we guide them the right way.
Hey, real quick though, you ever got spanked by like one of your aunts and uncles or somebody in the family, and then you had to go get another whooping from your parents after that one?
Yep.
Nope.
Oh man, those are the worst.
Double whoopings.
Bad day.
Bad days.
I was a good kid, yo.
Go pick your own switch.
You come back.
How about that?
You come back.
Go pick your own switch.
They gonna come back with a whole branch.
Them trees was made different back then. Them branches, them things, they were flexible.
You hear whistling through the air?
You already know. You already know.
For me, it only took one look, yo. Like I was a good kid. I fared my parents right under Christ. Like, okay, all it took was a look, not even a full look, a half a look. Nope, one spanking, one, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
And you tightened up,
that's all it took for me. Hell yeah, that's all it took for me.
All right, take us out, Nate. Take us out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us again on another episode. So what do you think? Are we sparing the rod and spoiling the child? What are your disciplinary actions? Please comment, subscribe, like, support. We need it all, guys. We need it all. Now to go debate that. Bye.
Yeah. You see the loot, and I see the pain. You call it chaos, but we marching for change. You bring up the black on black violence and neglect the reasons that's behind it. Let's talk about cause and effect, but you ain't ever bring up that yet. America was built on slavery, so we never seen a common ground. Things ain't never been equal when the law still got us bound. Just think in 1964, we had to use the back door. Too close to still feel pain. Take a trip down memory lane. But one thing for certain, my people are hurting. I'm seeing the beauty, you seeing the circus. When we scream out Black Lives Matter, that don't mean that we don't value yours. It's just our house is on fire, so just pass us the water. We gotta fight until we win. We want justice, nothing else I wanna live. We gotta fight for our kids, so don't think we giving up until we get it. But we gotta hold on. All we gotta do is stay strong. So we gotta let's stay strong. You just gotta hold on. We won't justice, nothing unless we standing strong. I'm telling you to hold on. Yeah, I'ma let you know that everything will be okay. Take a look at yourself, understand who you are. I see a black king, I see a black queen. Don't be ashamed of your scars. Spreading the love to your family, praying for peace for your sanity. Take a look at yourself, your skin is your wealth. Lean on your brother for help. Everything's happening is breaking me down, but seeing the unity's picking me up. Feeling this weight of this gravity, but can't let them damage my sanity. Been using this love, we gotta hold on. All we gotta do is stay strong. So we gotta hold on. No matter what it takes, let's stay strong. You just gotta hold on. We won't justice, nothing unless we standing strong. I'm telling you to hold on. I'ma let you know that